Good morning, everyone. My name is Jerry Fowler. I'm chair of the Dental Assisting Council. Today's Friday, January 28th, 2022. This Dental Assisting Council meeting is being held via WebEx. In accordance with Government Code Section 11133, this meeting will be held by teleconference with no physical locations. For all those who wish to participate, please log on to the WebEx website provided on the posted agenda for this meeting. Instructions to connect to the meeting are provided on the agenda. The preferred audio connection is via telephone conference and not the microphone and speakers on your computer. The phone number and access provided as part of your connection to the meeting. Since this meeting is being conducted via WebEx, I will ask all Dental Assisting Council members and speakers to announce themselves by name before speaking for clarity of the official record. All Dental Assisting Council members are able to unmute themselves to speak during the meeting. Please place yourself back on mute when not speaking to reduce background noise for all participants. When making a motion, please use the raised hand feature to be called upon and then verbally state your motion or second so staff can identify the motion and second for the meeting record. During a discussion on an agenda item, please use the raised hand feature if you want to speak, and I will call on you. Following such online meeting etiquette will ensure the best audio quality for everyone. During each call for comments from Dental Assisting Council members and speakers, we will ensure that all comments that can be accommodated are heard before proceeding with the agenda. We will be taking a 15-minute break in the morning, and we don't anticipate this meeting going past noon. In the event that it does, we will be taking a 30-minute lunch break if necessary. This is an official meeting for the Dental Assisting Council. The Council welcomes public comments on any item on the agenda, and it is the Council's intent to ask for public comments prior to the Council taking action on any agenda item. The DCA moderator will explain the process for providing public comment shortly. When called upon, the moderator will give the individual permission to unmute themselves, and they will have 2 minutes to make public comment. The moderator will audibly announce when 30 seconds remain to conclude the public comment. After the 2 minutes have lapsed, the individual will be placed back on mute. Only one public comment per agenda item is allowed per attendee. Depending on the number of people who would like to testify on a particular agenda item, a total time limit may be imposed. We ask all speakers to please stay on topic and not repeat testimony already provided. If you agree with testimony already provided, please just state your name and that you are in support of any comments previously provided. I would now like to ask the DCA moderator to please explain how public comments will be taken during this WebEx meeting.
Thank you, Madam Committee Chair. This is the moderator of the meeting. To facilitate public comment, we will be utilizing the WebEx question and answer feature. When the Council reaches a point in which the agenda or public comment is appropriate, the question and answer feature will be turned on, and members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by inserting the phrase, "I would like to make a comment," in the question box, which is typically in the lower right corner of your screen. I will then call upon the individual and give them permission to unmute their microphone. The individual will have 2 minutes to make their comment. At the conclusion of the 2 minutes, the individual's microphone will be muted and we will move on to the next member of the public who has a comment. Please note that the question and answer feature is being used only as a means for members of the public to represent that they would like to make a verbal comment. This is not a means to ask questions of the moderator or members of the council. Such inquiries submitted using this feature will not be answered. When making your comment, please make sure the comment is directed at the host in the dropdown. While you are free to express criticism or negative views for the sake of members of the public participating on the call, please do not use profane language when making public comments to the council. I will provide a brief reminder of this approach at the start of each public comment item. Finally, when council members or senior staff are not speaking, I would like to remind them to mute their microphones. If I detect background noise during the meeting as a result of the unmuted microphones, I will interject with a brief friendly reminder. And now I return the floor back to the chair.
Thank you. I would like to now call the meeting to order and ask the board staff to call the roll.
Good morning. This is Ricky Parks. I am the Dental Assisting Program Acting Manager, and I will now call the roll. Fowler?
Present.
Fowler present, thank you. Miyazaki?
Present.
Miyazaki present, thank you. Olage?
Olagi present.
Olage present, thank you. Pacheco?
Pacheco present.
Pacheco present, thank you. Reed Espinoza?
Reed Espinoza present.
A quorum has been established.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on to agenda item 2, public comment on items not on the agenda. Are there any public comments on items not on the agenda? DCA moderator, please facilitate the lines for public comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've opened up the question and answer panel. If any member of the public would like to make a comment, please type "I would like to make a comment" using the field in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and submit it to all panelists. If you're not seeing the question and answer panel, click on the question mark within a box. We are displaying instructions for your reference and we'll give you a moment. All right, this is a moderator. I see no request for comment at this time. Madam Chair, shall I close the question and answer panel?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's closed.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to agenda item number 3, discussion and possible action on the November 18th, 2021 meeting minutes. Are there any council member discussion? Please use the raised hand feature. Okay, I don't see any raised hands. Is there a motion and a second to approve the minutes? Please use the raised hand feature to be called upon and then verbally state your motion or second. Kara?
Kara Miyazaki, make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, Kara, motions to approve. Do I see a second? Rosa?
Olagi second.
Okay, so the motion's been made by, let's see, Kara has motioned and Ms. Alagi has seconded to accept the meeting minutes from the November 18th, 2021 as is. Okay, are there any public comments? DCA moderator, please facilitate.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have opened up the question and answer panel, and if any member of the public would like to comment on agenda item 2, please type "I would like to make a comment" using the field in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and submit it to all panelists. We are displaying instructions for your reference, and we'll give you a moment. All right, I'm seeing no request for comment at this time. Madam Chair, shall I close the question and answer panel?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's closed.
Okay, so board staff, can you please call roll and record the votes for this agenda item?
This is Ricky Parks. The motion is to accept the meeting minutes from the November 18th, 2021 meeting. I will now call the roll. Fowler,
Aye.
Miyazaki,
Miyazaki, aye.
Olage,
Olagi, aye.
Pacheco,
Pacheco, aye.
Reed Espinoza.
Reed Espinoza, aye.
Thank you. 5 ayes. The motion has passed.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to agenda item 4, update on dental assisting examination statistics. I'm going to ask Ricky Parks, dental assisting program analyst, to present this agenda item.
Agenda item 4, update on dental assisting examination statistics. Currently, the board offers 4 written examinations: the Registered Dental Assistant General and Law and Ethics written exam, the Registered Dental Assistant in Extended Functions written exam, the Orthodontic Assistant Permit written exam, and the Dental Sedation Assistant written exam. The tables beginning on page 1 of the memo or page 10 of the meeting materials include candidates that have tested as of December 31st, 2021 and the prior fiscal years. Additionally, you will find the breakdown of each examination by first-time and repeat candidates and their passing and failing scores. There is no action necessary at this time on this agenda item, and I am happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Are there any council member comments? Please use the raised hand feature. I just have, this is Councilmember Fowler. I just have one comment to make regarding this. I noticed that the orthodontic assisting pass rate had a slight increase. Does that reflect the new orthodontic assisting examination?
Hi, this is Tina Valerie, Chief of Administration and Licensing, and yes, that would be the results for the current OA examination through December 31st.
Oh, thank you. That's good news. Okay, I don't see any other raised hands for comment. Are there any public comments? DCA moderator, would you please facilitate the lines for public comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have opened up the question and answer panel, and if any member of the public would like to comment on agenda item 4, please type "I would like to make a comment" using the field in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and submit it to all panelists. We are displaying instructions for your reference, and we'll give you a moment. All right, this is the moderator, and I see no request for comment at this time. Shall I close the question and answer panel?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's closed.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to agenda item 5, update on dental assisting licensing statistics, and I'm going to ask Ms. Parks to present this agenda item.
Hello, this is Ricky Parks. Agenda item 5, update on dental assisting licensing statistics. The board currently licenses registered dental assistants, registered dental assistant in extended functions, orthodontic assistant, and dental sedation assistants in the dental assisting unit. This memo is an overview of the current and active current and inactive, delinquent, and canceled licenses. This item also provides the delinquent license aging, a breakdown of licenses per county, and the ratio of RDAs to DDSs licensed within those counties. On page 1 of this memo, or page 12 of the meeting materials, there are tables indicating the number of applications received by the board through the end of December 2021, as well as those applications that have been approved, the number of licenses that have been issued, along with the number of applications canceled, withdrawn, and denied. There is no action necessary at this time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any council member comments? Please use the raised hand feature. Not seeing any raised hands. Are there any public comments? DCA moderator, please facilitate the lines for public comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've opened up the question and answer panel. If any member of the public would like to comment on agenda item 5, please type "I would like to make a comment" using the field in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Again, if you do not see the Q&A panel, you can click on a question mark within a square in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. And we do have a request for comment from a user or attendee identified as Claudia Pohl. Claudia, just a reminder, you have 2 minutes to speak, and I'll give you a 30-second warning. So Claudia, you should be able to unmute yourself now, and you're unmuted.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me? This is Claudia Pohl, representing the CDAA. I have a comment/question, request for more information. On page 12 of the meeting materials, it shows that in fiscal year 2021 cycle, there were 2661 applicants for RDA. On the table below, in applications approved, RDA 2021 fiscal year, approved was 1,907. So there's a difference of roughly 700. So there were 700 applicants in fiscal year 2021 for RDA that were not approved. I would love to have information, if available, on the data of those that were not approved. If there was reasons, if there's any data available. Thank you very much.
All right, and that was the last of the requests for public comment. Madam Chair, shall I close the Q&A panel?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's closed.
Thank you. Now we move on to agenda item number 6, update regarding RDA-EF licensure requirements and administration of the new RDA-EF written examination. I'm going to ask Tina Valerie, Chief of Administration and Licensing, to present this agenda item.
Good morning. This is Tina Valerie. I will be providing an update on the RDA-EF licensure requirements and the administration of the new RDA-EF examination. On January 1st, 2022, Senate Bill SB 607 became effective. This bill removed the clinical and practical examination requirements to become a registered dental assistant in extended functions. This allowed the board to license RDA-EF applicants that met all of the requirements listed on page 23 of your meeting materials. As mentioned at previous council meetings, we had over 253 applicants awaiting licensure due to the challenges we faced scheduling the clinical and practical examinations as a result of COVID-19 impacts. Once SB 607 was signed on September 28, 2021, board staff began the process of refunding applicants who paid the $500 exam fee but had not taken the clinical and/or practical exam. All refunds were processed in mid-October, and applicants should have already received refunds. Additionally, Staff licensed all RDA-EF applicants that had successfully met the licensing requirements that took effect on January 1st, 2022. This was completed on January 2nd, 2022. Based on the results of the occupational analysis conducted by the Office of Professional Examination Services, or OPES, a new RDA-EF written exam was developed that incorporates additional content that measures competencies related to cord retraction and final impression, which had previously been measured by the practical and clinical exams. As mentioned in this memo, this new exam was intended to be launched on January 1st, 2022. However, on January 24th, 2022, Sarah Wallace and I were informed that the implementation of the new RDA-EF examination did not occur on January 1st, 2022 as anticipated. From January 3rd to January 24th, the previous version of the RDA-EF written exam remained in effect and was administered to 9 candidates. No additional candidates were scheduled to take the exam between January 25th through the 28th. Sarah and I consulted with OPES and board counsel and were advised that the delayed implementation of the new RDA-EF exam does not impact the 9 candidates, and no action is needed on the part of the board administration of the new RDA-EF examination. I'm sorry, the administration of the new RDA-EF examination will begin on January 28th. As with previous examinations administered, OPES will monitor the statistical performance of the items to ensure the examination functions as intended. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Tina. Are there any council member comments? Please use the raised hand feature. Not seeing any comments. Are there any public comments? DCA moderator, please facilitate the lines for public comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have opened up the question and answer panel, and if any member of the public would like to comment on agenda item 6, please type "I would like to make a comment" using the field in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and submit it to all panelists. We are displaying instructions and we'll give you a moment. All right, we have an attendee identified as Molly Newlon, Dr. Newlon, who would like to make a comment. Just a reminder, you'll have 2 minutes. I'll give you a 30-second warning. And Dr. Newlon, you should be able to unmute yourself. There you go, you're unmuted.
Just 2 quick questions. You mentioned that an additional portion of the exam would include cord retraction and final impressions on this new exam, as I understood your comment. Was there any other content that was added to this exam other than that? And then the second question is, what is the length of this exam compared with the older exam? And thank you very much.
All right, and that was the last of our requests for comment. Madam Chair, shall I close the Q&A panel?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's closed.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to move on to agenda item 7, update on dental assisting educational programs and course applications and reevaluations. I'm going to ask Ms. Valerie to present this agenda item.
Good morning again. This is Tina Valerie. This memo provides an overview of the new dental assisting program and course applications and reevaluations. Beginning on page 25 of your meeting materials, you will find charts outlining the program and course application statistics for fiscal years 2018-19, 19-20, 2021, and 21-22 through December 31st, 2021. On page 27 of your materials, you will find a chart that identifies the approved program and course providers by name and type of program for fiscal year 21-22 through December 31st, 2021. Beginning on page 30 and continuing through page 33, you will find several tables detailing the status of the reevaluation being conducted by the board. The board has the authority to reevaluate RDA and RDA-EF programs, as well as dental assisting educational courses to ensure compliance with regulations. During the reevaluation process, the approved programs and courses can continue to offer and provide their programs and courses to students. Programs and courses identified for reevaluation are sent a notice of reevaluation and given approximately 1 month to submit the required documentation. Once received, the information is reviewed by a subject matter expert, and then the program or course is notified of their continuance of board approval or of any deficiencies identified. If notified of deficiencies, the program or course is given 30 days to submit correction documents to the board. If no response is received, either to the initial notice of reevaluation or the deficiency notice within the time frame, a notice will be sent to the program or course notifying them of the withdrawal of board approval, which will become effective 90 days from the date of the notice. The goal of the reevaluations is to ensure that the programs and courses are in compliance with current laws and regulations. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Tina. Are there any council member comments? Please use the raise hand feature. Not seeing any requests for council member comments. Are there any public comments? DCA moderator, please facilitate the lines for public comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have opened up the question and answer panel, and if any member of the public would like to comment on agenda item 7, please type "I would like to make a comment" using the field in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and submit it to all panelists. We are displaying instructions and we'll give you a moment. All right, I see no requests for comment at this time. Shall I close the Q&A panel?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's closed.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to agenda item number 8, discussion and possible action regarding recommendations of Council Working Group on RDA-EF administration of local anesthesia and nitrous oxide. I'm going to ask Ms. Valerie to continue with this agenda item.
Good morning, this is Tina Valerie. At the November 2018 council meeting, a presentation was given by Joan Greenfield regarding a proposal to add the administration of local anesthesia and nitrous oxide to the scope of practice of RDA-EF licensed on or after January 1st, 2010. Due to concern expressed by the council regarding public protection, staff were directed to conduct a more in-depth survey of both dentists and a larger sample of RDA-EF to assess their opinions about adding local anesthesia and nitrous oxide to the RDA-EF scope of practice, as well as forming a working group of dentists, hygienists, RDA-EF, and other interested stakeholders to research and evaluate the proposal. At the August 2021 board meeting, staff advised the board that it does not have sufficient staff resources to carry out the council's direction without the assistance of a board member to assist staff with the surveys and working group. Ultimately, this issue returned to the council at its November 2021 meeting. Due to the lack of board staff resources and the complexity of these issues, the Council established a 2-member working group to discuss the specific issues to be studied, create relevant survey questions, and return to the Council with a list of the specific issues to be studied and survey questions. The 2-member working group includes Chair Fowler and Vice Chair Reed Espinoza. Chair Fowler will be presenting their memo to the Council, as well as OPES's recommendations for the Council's consideration. And we are asking that the Council review the survey distribution proposal and draft survey questions to determine if any revisions are needed, and to delegate authority to the 2-member working group to work with OPES to finalize the surveys and distribute to stakeholders. I am now going to turn the discussion over to Chair Fowler.
Thank you, Tina. In your meeting minutes, or not meeting minutes, but materials, you can see there's 3 recommendations there from OPES regarding the survey that Vice Chair Reed Espinoza and myself submitted. Recommendation 1, the Council initially administered 2 separate surveys, one to the Rdaefs who meet the qualifications for licensure established in 2010, and the other administered to dentists who supervise RDAEFs. If the survey is also sent to dental associates and RDH, OPES recommends that these be designated as separate surveys as well. However, the Council may want to first obtain information from the RDAEFs and dentists, and then make a determination as to whether additional information from other dental professions is indicated. Their recommendation 2, the survey repeats questions of type of procedures performed. Survey length and repetition in questions can impact response rates. Therefore, OPS recommended gathering data across procedures performed by RDAFs under their scope of practice. But if the Council wants the information broken out, OPS is happy to assist. And the third recommendation, OPS is willing to assist with revising the wording and scales for some of the survey questions to more accurately capture information. In addition, OPS is willing to assist with developing additional questions to include in the survey. When Vice Chair Reed Espinoza and I met, the rationale was that we wanted a very non-biased, comprehensive survey to go out, because that was the challenge apparently before with the survey that went out before. And it's a 2-step process, and we're in step 1 of that, to determine whether or not the local anesthesia and nitrous oxide should become an allowable duty for an RDAF2. We need that relevant data in a non-biased survey. And in order to truly accurately get good data results, the survey must be sent to all dental professionals who are responsible for administering additional local anesthesia and nitrous oxide in the practice utilizing EFs. With OPS's, I'm concerned with OPS's first recommendation. There could potentially be discrepancies in data results between just the supervising dentist and the RDAEF due to a lack of awareness on the DDS part for the need for local anesthesia reinforcement, especially for those offices that allow hygienists and associate dentists to provide the additional local anesthesia. And the reason for the 2 different surveys is it's so we can validate. It's not just by saying this is just what the RDAFs are saying, but they can compare the 2 data results between the DDS as well as that to make sure they're on the same page. So step 1, obviously patient care is the #1 priority of the dental board. And that comfort. Painful dental procedures and long appointments are practice killers. They can cause dental phobias in patients. So we propose that all practices that utilize the RDA-EFs should be given access to this survey. Invitation emails can be sent to dentists requesting participation if they work with RDA-EFs in their practice, and encouraging all staff who provide that local anesthesia and nitrous oxide in their practice to participate as well. Invitation emails will be sent to RDA-EFs, encourage their participation and others in the practice who provide the local anesthesia and nitrous oxide. And then we had you can see from the meeting materials, you can see the questions that we came up with. When OPS came back with their recommendations, they had some survey recommendations. They consolidated some of the questions because we broke down per procedure. So ours is 21 questions in length, which is kind of lengthy for a survey, even though there's qualifying questions in there where they would jump to another question if it doesn't apply. However, OPS, they did a good job in consolidating some of those questions. I think that concludes my report, and I'd love to hear if there are any council member discussion. Can you please use the raised hand feature? Kara, you have a comment?
Kara Miyazaki, I was wondering if we could hear from OPS. Is there recommendations in order of what their, like the first one is what they would prefer, or is that a random order?
Is there a representative from OPS present during the meeting here? Tina, can you weigh in on that?
So we do have OPS available on the line. So I believe Karen is available, so she can weigh in on this if we could unmute her.
DCA moderator, are you unmuting?
We are having a technical difficulty, so just bear with us. They should be promoting her soon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Karen, I believe you are able to unmute yourself now.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. This is Karen Okasich with the Office of Professional Examination Services. And if I'm understanding the question correctly, in our first recommendation, it was to survey the RDA-EFs and dentists first. And the primary reason for doing that was just to simplify the process and kind of take a systematic approach to this so that you could first see from the most involved parties whether there was a rationale for proceeding, and then extending it to other dental professionals that would be involved. So by all means, it's not a necessary recommendation. We'd be happy to work with the council on including the surveys to other people who would be involved in this decision. We do, however, recommend that they be separate surveys so that the questions can be tailored toward the specific profession and their involvement.
Thank you, Karen. Rosa, you had, Miss Alagi, you had your hand up. You have a comment?
Yeah, and I have a question. So what we're looking at right now, and based on the recommendation, it's quantitative based research. Like it's quantitative from the surveys. Have we ever thought, and the dial hasn't moved, or based on the previous surveys that were sent out, which I heard say right now, that we didn't get validity? Have we ever thought of a mixed method approach and to do qualitative and quantitative, and through qualitative conduct 30 interviews or 25 to 30 interviews to get saturation and then combine the both? It's just a comment. I know with bandwidth and staff it may not be possible, but is that maybe another way to, or recommendation we can consider, or is that off the table completely?
Karen, would you like to weigh in on this?
Absolutely. You definitely could take that approach. Again, you may want to start with the survey to ensure that there is interest, and then you could go to a qualitative type analysis where you would hold meetings with people. I think the first step would be to establish that there is an interest and possibly a rationale for proceeding with this before you open the door into trying to take on too much, basically. I would establish the rationale and then create systematic steps to how you would approach this.
Thank you, Karen. Rosa, did you have more to add, or your hand's still raised there?
I don't want to say, I just have a different outlook, I guess, of looking at this. And I think it is important that I understand going quantitative first, but I also have seen an analysis, the value of us starting with a qualitative research to get the end result, or to move the dial maybe on this initiative, and look at it that. So I just want us to consider as a council that it's maybe the approach that we need to adjust to get the information we are looking for. And it's not to get to information, but maybe to ensure that we get validity this time. So that's just my comment, or something to consider. I do understand that a qualitative base does require a different bandwidth and staff. 100% understand that piece.
Thank you, Rosa. One more thing about the quantitative. What we're also trying to do in this survey is gather how much time is actually spent. If the need for additional anesthesia is required, what is the wait time in getting that, the total wait time from the time that the RDAF requests that, the patient's in the chair, they're waiting for someone to give the local anesthesia, and then for the time for it to be kick in and take effect so they can resume their duties. We need that time frame as part of the data set. So I think that's a little bit of clarification on the quantitative part. That's an important aspect of this survey. Kara, did you have your hand raised? Do you have a comment?
Kara Miyazaki, yes, I did. So I think I agree with Ms. Olagi, because I'm looking at the questions and I'm thinking if we send this out to as a survey with sort of definite, like 1 to 2 minutes, 6 to 10 minutes, there's no option for like other, or because what happens if it's not applicable to them at that point? There's no not applicable. So how do we know like those minutes are like what someone would say if we had a group of people that got together and we asked them kind of like general questions, and then maybe their time frame is more like in like half hours or whatever. I'm just wondering like, about the questions, and there's no space for the, because we're the, the, the your expertise or anyone's expertise in putting together the survey, but I'm just saying that we're giving them like specific numbers when we don't know from like maybe a smaller group that maybe their answers would be different, very different than the answers to these questions. I don't know if that's something OPES can answer, but I think it goes back to Ms. Alagi's comment about sort of gathering sort of like a small focus group together, and or even testing. Is there an opportunity to test the survey first with open-ended like an other section where someone else can answer to see if there's like a trend for the answers?
Thank you, Kara, for those comments. I don't know how many opportunities for surveys we're going to get, and I'd love to have Karen from OPS weigh in on this. But the importance of the survey is to actually find out if there is extended time. If it's lengthening the patient's time in the chair due to waiting for administration of local anesthesia. And also, is there, when this patient's waiting, that's an uncomfortable thing. So I don't know if, and I'd love to hear, like I said, OPS weigh in on this, if making it more generalized is a good approach, because we need very specific data regarding if that patient's procedure is being lengthened due to needing more anesthesia. Karen, would you like to weigh in on that from OPS?
Sure, I can. Yes, I can. I can comment on that. If you are referring to holding a focus group with some practitioners, for example, some RDAEFs, and then having a separate panel with dentists so that we can evaluate the scales and get some background information, make sure that those scales will function as we're intending or providing you with the correct information, then yes. We would recommend that you incorporate that into the survey. So before the survey is administered, you could hold that type of a focus group. But we would probably continue to recommend that you seek large-scale qualitative data after you get that quantitative data.
Thank you, Karen. Ms. Alagi, you have your hand up. Would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, so I'm just looking at a few of these questions, and we use language a few times a week, multiple times daily on 2 questions with nothing that's attached with like numeric. It's question number 19, I'm seeing that, and then I'm also seeing that in question number 11. By definition, when you like look up that language, that is very vague language in my opinion for a survey. So I have a hard time supporting those questions, like if we move in this direction without like a few times. So it's a few times 2, 3. When you're filling that out a day, or is it 1? I want to give that feedback on those 2 questions because I do think we can strengthen them in a way, or is that not recommended? Or is there not a way for what we're trying to get out of that question? Is it not recommended of that?
Yes, and actually OPS's question, because they came up with a total of 16 questions instead of the 21. And like I said, they condensed them, but they reworded in their version of the question is in your dental practice, what proportion of patients receive nitrous oxide during procedures performed by RDEFs you supervise it? And they use a percentage. They do 1 to 10%, 11 to 20%, instead of those a few times a week and that. So I liked the wording on their question. And I have a question. The question or the proposed survey that you came up with, Karen, in OPS there, is that going to be presented at the board meeting so the board of directors can see your version? Because right now, unfortunately, the dental assisting committee can't see your proposed questions.
So, hi, Chair Fowler. This is Tina Valerie. So I think the purpose of this agenda item is to put forward what the you and Vice Chair Reed Espinoza came up with, and just for the council to agree that this is still the direction they'd like to move in, and that you can continue to work with OPS to make revisions to the survey and then bring them back for future discussion. So essentially, I guess the action item is that they would give you guys the authority to continue to work with OPS to make revisions and then bring back a final document for presentation at a future meeting.
All right, thank you very much. That does clarify. Okay. Kara, you have your hand up. Do you like to make a comment?
Kara Miyazaki, yes, thank you. I would like to hear from the other council members how they would feel about making a specific recommendation about having a small focus group look at the questions first and sort of provide some information on the sort of the weigh in on the answers that they would give versus the answers that are on the survey. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. Ms. Alagi, you have your hand up. Would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, I'm definitely in support of us continuing to have conversation and taking this as a first step. But I would highly like for us to consider the focus groups, because through focus groups, themes are created. We are not saying these are the themes or that these are the threshold of time that a patient is waiting. Through those focus groups, what I would hope is we would find those themes. Those themes would then be put in to the survey or the A, B, and C options, and then from there we move forward together. But I do think that is a very critical component of this, because through the focus groups, do we also find out that maybe this is not a need? There's not enough themes, and it stops there, and we don't even go into a survey. So that is just my feedback as a council member.
Thank you, Ms. Alagi. Is it Ms. Alagi? Oh, okay. Kara Miyasaka, you have your hand up. You'd like to make a comment?
Thank you, Kara Miyazaki. Yes, I guess I would like to hear from this board staff and OPES if this is something that's a possibility, because I know this is requiring a burden of more work. So could they weigh in and let us know if this is a possibility or not to hold a focus groups or a focus group, and who would be responsible for that? Thank you.
So, hi, this is Tina Valerie, and I'm just going to remind everybody that essentially this was part of the original discussion, the formation of working groups, and the reason that we're at this point is because we do not have the staff resources to take this on. And so I think the discussion brought us here was that we were trying to put together this working group to have at least a starting point to find out, one, what issues need to be studied and the survey questions that we need to have the answers to in order to move forward. And so I think at this point, that's what we're trying to get started, because this was an issue that the council felt strongly about. And so at this point, this is why we created this subcommittee to take on this issue, is because we don't have the staff resources for this.
Thank you. Ms. Welch, you have your hand up. You'd like to make a comment?
Hi, this is Tara Welch, Board Counsel. I also just want to make sure that any kind of focus group, we need to think about compliance with Bagley-Keene and whether or not it would have to be some type of noticed public meeting and how much meeting material staff would have to prepare for something like that. So I'm just raising these issues to put this on the table for the council's consideration, because focus groups, involving more than 2 people discussing board or council issues may actually require more staff time. So I just want to put that out for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Miyazaki, you have your hand up. You'd like to make
Thank
another?
you. Yes. I have a question. Would that include if we had a meeting, the subject matter experts instead of random licensed professionals?
This is Tara Welch. I think that subject matter experts they have Bagley-Keene exemption status on the basis of being board contracted, but also potentially statutory protection for examination review. So exam question review, all of that's confidential under Public Records Act provisions. I think OPEZ probably knows more about those protections. Here's the other thing. I don't know how many subject matter experts the board has that they could pull aside to go into some kind of focus group and chime in on these issues. Yeah, that's my comment.
And this is Tina Valerie. Just an additional comment that even using subject matter experts, the work still falls on board staff. And so whether it's a focus group or a group of SMEs, it's still an impact to board staff, which is why, again, we have the 2-member working group, which is essentially who we've delegated to take on this issue. And again, we're hoping that we can continue to move forward with the survey and the discussion of the information that we need to gather to move forward with this issue. So that's the position that the board is recommending, that we continue to have Chair Fowler and Chair Rdaef to continue to work with OPES to finalize the survey and begin this process.
Ms. Miyazaki, you have your hand up. You'd like to make a comment?
Thank you, Kara Miyazaki. Thank you for all your insights into that. I really appreciate that. I'm wondering if other members of the council could weigh in on what they thought of having a survey that went out to a much smaller group with more, not open-ended questions, but having an option to fill in like a other or not applicable, to sort of narrow down or drill down sort of like the range of answers that could be given. And if we could hear from the other council members about that.
Ms. Alagi, you
Yeah.
have your hand up.
I'm in support 100% of the surveys. I just want to, I want to see it in final draft. This is not final draft. And I think that's where my hesitation is coming from, that I don't think where we're at current state, this is going to accomplish, or we're going to be able to. It's very important we ask the right questions to make sure that we are getting what we need. And right now, I just don't feel the questions are where they need to be. So in regards to the comments, I'm definitely in support of, do we look at smaller? I don't know if that will accomplish what we really need neither, versus just sending it out to the mass, because we do need a high volume of people to engage with the survey to get validity. We need that. But I think we do need to consider adjusting the questions on the survey to accomplish that.
Hi, this is Tina. So just to reiterate, the action that we're requesting for this is to delegate the authority to your 2-member working group to continue to work with OPES to finalize the survey and distribute to stakeholders. So you have the option, if you did want to see the final version, to delegate the authority to the working group to work with OPES to finalize the survey and bring it back at a future meeting.
Okay. Ms. Alagi, you have your hand up.
I'll motion for that motion to continue to work with OPS to finalize this or get this in final draft form and to bring it back to a future DAC meeting for today.
This is Pacheco, and I second Olagi's motion.
Okay, so Ms. Alagi motioned to for us to work on with OPS to come up with a finalized version, bring it back to another DAC meeting. And Ms. Pacheco seconded. Let's see. Let's open up for public comments now. DCA moderator, can you please facilitate the lines for public comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have opened up the question and answer panel, and if any member of the public would like to comment on agenda item 8, please type that you would like to make a comment using the field in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and submit it to all panelists. And I see that Claudia Pohl would like to make a comment. So Claudia, just a reminder, you'll have 2 minutes. Once I give you permission to unmute yourself, I'll give you a 30-second warning. And Claudia, you should be able to unmute yourself. There you go.
Thank you so much. Yes, Claudia Pohl with California Dental Assistants Association. Thank you for continuing your work on this, and I appreciate all the discussion. And I know the survey may be coming back, but I'd like to just make 2 comments on 2 of the content or questions. Question number 2, perhaps I am wrong, but I think you could also have a DDS who is not either an owner or an associate, but is actually an employee or a practicing dentist, but not an owner. You may want to consider having that option as an answer. And then second comment would be that there are only 2 questions that I'm seeing, 19 and 21, that deal with nitrous oxide. So again, you may want to consider having additional questions relative to nitrous, or incorporating that into some of the questions that talk about local anesthesia. Thank you very much.
All right, this is a moderator, and that is the last of our requests for comment. Shall I close the Q&A panel?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Board staff, can you please call the roll and record votes for this agenda item?
This is Ricky Parks. Agenda item 8, the motion is to delegate authority to the 2-member working group and bring back the survey at a future DAC meeting. I will now call the roll. Chair Fowler?
Aye.
Thank you. Chair Fowler, aye. Miyazaki?
I have a quick question. Was there supposed to be a discussion after the motion was seconded? By the Dental Assisting Council before it went to public comment?
I will defer to Chair Fowler for this answer.
Hi, this is Tina Valerie. So the discussion for the council was prior to the motion and the second, but if you have additional comments, I'm going to ask Tara if we can take those additional comments at this point.
Okay, I think I got my question answered, but then I just want to sort of know the order of when we do these meetings, the discussion, does that follow the second by the Dental Assisting Council and then it goes to public comment, or is that is this a different order? Do you know what I mean?
This is Tara Welch. So you can, typically there's discussion and then a vote is had. You can continue discussion by raising your hand, and then you can go to public comment. You can come back from public comment, and the council can have some more discussion on the public comment received, and then take a vote. All of that is subject to the chair. So right now you're in the middle of a vote. If you need to have some additional discussion right now, you can stop the vote, just have some more discussion, and then resume your vote.
I see. So when I get to the voting, that's when I should say, if I wanted to say something, to stop the vote and ask for a discussion?
This is Tara Welch. Yeah, you can do that. I mean, if there was no prior opportunity to have additional discussion, perhaps you can just ask the chair for additional discussion before the vote is final.
All right. Okay, I understand. Okay, so Kara Miyazaki, aye.
Miyazaki, aye. Thank you. Alage?
Olagi, aye.
Alage, aye. Thank you. Pacheco?
Pacheco, aye.
Pacheco, aye. Thank you. Reed Espinoza?
Reed Espinoza, aye.
Thank you. The motion is passed.
Well, thank you. This was a wonderful meeting and lots of great discussion. But this concludes the January 28th Dental Assisting Council meeting, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.